can start. Call the meeting to order. Welcome, everybody, to Friday, August 22nd, General Horizon Council meeting. We have a full agenda, and I'm going to try my best to keep us on time. So, welcome. If everybody could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you. Okay, we have our minutes that went out in the package. This was the meeting on June 27th. If I can have a motion to accept. Bev, thank you. All right, so moved. Horizon Council Chairman's Report. I am going to yield the majority of my time to Richard. I'm going to ask him to come up. We are going to have a motion to vote, we're going to vote on an update to the bylaws, so I'll have him walk through that. I did just want to do a recognition for the Grow Florida program. We have some Southwest Florida businesses, local businesses, that were in the finalists, and Jaime, who you'll meet here in a few minutes, their company, Advanced Hurricane Technology, is one of the finalists. And for Southwest Florida, Face It Botox is one of the finalists, and Prana Sleep is also a finalist. So we'll look forward to getting more information on that. But it was 50 businesses in the state of Florida who were highlighted, and we have 3 that are represented here in Southwest Florida. So congratulations to them. All right, I will turn it over to Richard to walk us through the changes of the bylaws that we're going to be voting on. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Helen, and good morning, everyone. All right, so as some of you know and some of you may not, we've got some changes to the bylaws, and the genesis of that change really has to do with the cap on the number of members of the Horizon Council that was contained within the enabling resolution by the Board of County Commissioners, right? So that cap was 80. We had a discussion as we started this process because we went through the nominating process and the applications on the nominating committee, we realized, well, we've just got a lot of people who want to be involved. And so what we did was we started working with the county attorney's office, and John did as well, and we were all part of that process, and we were able to work with them to change the enabling resolution to move the cap from 80 to 90, right? So it's 80 to 90, but the second primary thing that we did as part of that was the resolution is amended to say that not only does it go to 90 now, but that for every additional 100,000 residents added to the population of Lee County above 900,000, the total maximum membership of the Horizon Council is going to be increased by 10 members, right? So it's an automatic increase in the cap as the population of Lee County also grows, because we found that over the years had to go back and change this a number of times. So the idea is to fix that. So that enabling resolution was amended, and with that there were some other changes. What we did was, for those of you who may have been familiar with the resolution of the Board of County Commissioners, it had within it a number of specific caps as to where the membership had to come from, where that 80 had to be made up of, right? So it would cap 20 at large or so many from each different area. So we streamlined it a little bit to identify the specific areas that members would come from. But I'm going to walk you through some of those now, and this is just to make everything in our bylaws consistent with the changes to the resolution. So in Section 4.1.2 of the bylaws, it currently talks about having a representative from each of the 10 primary geographic chambers of commerce in Lee County, and it goes on to actually identify a number of chambers of commerce. So what we did to streamline this was we removed specific references and we removed the cap of 10, and we just basically now have it saying a representative from each of the primary geographic chambers of commerce in Lee County, which representative shall be the non-paid elected board chair or non-paid elected board member designee. And so the bottom line there is, if there are new chambers of commerce that are created that want to be part of the Horizon Council, we don't have to go back and amend the bylaws to put their name specifically in there. That was kind of what we were doing with that. We also, with regard to the at-large members, removed the cap of 25. That's been an issue over the years, the 25 cap on at-large, so it's just now, we refer to at-large members as people who will be and can be members of the Horizon Council. We also, in Section 4.1.4, talked about, for those of you that are familiar with the bylaws, maybe not as much as I am, it provides that the mayor or council member designee of each of Lee County's municipalities would be members of the Horizon Council, but it goes on to specifically identify each of the municipalities. So, City of Bonita Springs, Village of Estero, Town of Fort Myers Beach, so on and so forth, City of Cape Coral. So what we did was we struck out the specific references to each of those municipalities. The reason why we did this was we just thought, all right, well, we might get a new municipality. And so instead now what it says is that the mayor or council member designee of each municipality within Lee County. Very simple. So if you're in a municipality within Lee County, you have a designee that is on the Horizon Council. It's a streamlining. One other change here that is a little bit maybe more significant is that bylaw now will say that no municipality representative shall serve as an officer. And that's actually part of what the change was that the Board of County Commissioners made to its resolution. So that's the change to Section 4.1.4. We also have a change that in 4.2 that talks about, and I'll read you the language, in addition to the 90 members, the chair or commissioner designee of the Lee County Board of County Commissioners, the Lee County manager, and the Lee County Port Authority director or manager designee shall serve as ex officio members. Ex officio members shall have no voting rights. So just a little bit of background on that, and for years and years, that's kind of been how it was treated, but it was never specifically codified. And so we made that change just to codify exactly how it's been treated by the Horizon Council, both at the executive committee level and at the broad Horizon Council body level. So those are the changes that we've made. The idea here, again, is to primarily, the thrust behind these changes is just to help out with the issue that we were facing over the caps of membership and where those members had to specifically all come from, because it was getting hard to count and keep track of all that. So those are the changes. Does anyone have any questions for me about any of that? No, it's not as exciting to you as it is to me, I guess. Thanks, Al.
Appreciate it. All right, so it was housekeeping, cleanup, setting us up for the future as we grow, being able to not have to go through every year in updating the bylaws. So we tried to future-proof it as best as we could, knowing what we know today, with some anticipation for the future. So I would like to go ahead and have a motion to, Bev? I have hands, yes, to vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, so moved. Thank you so much. We are going to, I skipped around a little bit, but we are going to do member introductions. We're on schedule, so I think that we can go ahead and do that. So Warren, if you will do that for me, please. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. Mark Moore, County Administration, representing County Manager Dave Harner. Good morning, everyone. Brian Hammond, Lee County Commissioner for District 4. Good morning and welcome, everyone. Jeff Albritton, President, right here where you're sitting, Florida Southwestern. Be careful when you leave today. Our students are moving into the dorms. It's going to get a little crazy. We're up over 16% this fall. We've got about 22,000 students coming here, so it's going to be busy. Thanks.
Wow, that's awesome.
Good morning, everyone. Sam Fisher, Chair of the Lee County School Board.
Good morning, Denise Coleman, Superintendent of Schools, and my apologies for all the buses in traffic with you. We're getting kids to school on time this year.
Rafael Lopez, I'm a councilman with the Village of Estero. Thank you.
Joe Kilgreen, Council, Cape Coral. I'm substituting for Rachel today. If she comes in, I'll pop out of here. So, thank you.
I think Rachel's waiting for something else to pop out.
Yes, you delivered a popper.
Oh, yay! Laura Carr, City of Bonita Springs City Council. Robbie Webstorff, Edison National Bank, Bank of the Islands, and represent the Industrial Development Authority.
Matt Webstorff, Treasurer.
Molly Scott, Secretary.
Guido Manira, Global Solutions, and President of Horizon Foundation.
Gary Tasman, Cushman Wakefield Commercial Property, Southwest Florida, and Chairman of the Business Issues Committee.
Karen Moore, Southwest Florida Business Today, and Chair of the Business Resources Committee.
Good morning, Adam Palmer, CBRE, Sports Council Committee Chair.
Shelby Baucom, STEM to Career Connections Committee.
Good morning, Gerard Cunnington, Florida Gulf Coast University. Wings up.
Good morning, Rob Harris, Executive Director of the Southwest Regional Manufacturers Association.
Hello, Justin Thibault, LSI Companies, and here on behalf of the Real Estate Investment Society.
Julie Ramirez, Executive Director of Lee County Medical Society.
Richard Dorman with Marvin Haynes, representing the Lee Building Industry Association.
Morning, Megan Baskin, Southwest Florida Leadership Institute at FGCU, representing Leadership Next.
Good morning, Mike Biskey, D&I Contractors, representing CareerSource, Southwest Florida.
Good morning, Dusty Shelton, representing Cape Coral Council for Progress.
Thank you. Randy Chris Commercial Group, representing the Lee County Port Authority Airport Special Management Committee.
Good morning, Tom Houlihan, representing the Industrial Development Authority.
Doug Gallo of West Florida Joe Manufacturing, representing the Industrial Development Authority.
Good morning, Gary Griffin, D&I Contractors,
Representing the Industrial Development Authority.
Good morning, it's Elvis Velasquez, and I'm with Southport Inc.
Robert Goltz, Greater Fort Myers Chamber of Commerce.
Good morning, Gail Wagner, representing the Fort Myers Beach Chamber of Commerce.
Good morning, Ray Sandelli at large. Good to see everybody. Have a great weekend.
Denise Vidal with LCEC, Member at Large.
Brett Swing, Member at Large.
Good morning, Mark Stevens, Stevens Construction, Member at Large.
Good morning, Sean Smith, Boston Red Sox, Member at Large.
Good morning, Ben Siegel, Member at Large.
Good morning, Beth Larson, ERA Lahaina Realty, Member at Large.
Good morning, Joseph Janowski, First Horizon Bank, Member at Large.
Mary Gentile, LQ Property Management, Member at Large.
Good morning, Dan Abeloff, Regents Bank, Member at Large.
Good morning, Tim Lappy with Team Magazine, representing the Kingston Council.
Jacqueline Mosier, representing Southwest Florida Tech.
Good morning, everyone. Jordan Azis with the Greater Estero Chamber of Commerce.
Good morning, everyone. Pam Whitmore Bratton, Remax Realty Group, Commercial, and representing CCIN as President.
Are you coming back to somebody?
One more. Yeah.
One more, okay.
Good morning, Matthews Walk with Owen Ames Kimball, Member at Large.
Jen White, Fort Myers Spearing, Member at Large.
And staff. All right, yes, I know. All right, Dr. Minaya, would you like to come up and give us a Horizon Foundation update, please?
All right. Good morning. I was looking at some pictures of various people standing here of different heights, right? And then I saw one of my pictures, and it looked like you couldn't see me. Like you're out in the crowd. So I'm glad. I wanted to check that I could at least see your faces. So, all right. So we are on track and ahead of schedule with our fundraising efforts. Thanks to Bill Johnson. Yep. We're about $402,000 in committed funds, and our annual goal is $575,000. And Bill was named one of the top 30 nonprofit execs by the Community Foundation and will be honored on October 23rd. So congratulations, Bill. So since our last meeting, we've operationalized our new Edison Awards Committee. Sandy Stillwell will be convening the first meeting within the next few weeks. We have about 6 committee members, and Dean Piccarillo from HBK will be serving as co-chair. We're hosting a mid-year investor event scheduled for September 4th at a Mighty Muscles game. We anticipate around 70 to 80 folks. A short program, and then we enjoy the game. As you know, we're continuing the planning on the IAA awards. Our President's Circle event honoring the IAA finalists will take place on September 24th at JetBlue Park. Each finalist, because sometimes when you go to those events, you don't know who the finalists are, right? So each finalist is going to have a little ribbon with this finalist. So if you attend, please make sure you approach them and talk to them about their business. Innovators from around the world will be honored at the next Edison Awards here on April 15th to 16th. As the Horizon Foundation, we're contributing $50,000 to support the event. And the new Edison Awards Committee not only will it raise awareness within our community, but will also raise additional funds for that event. We will also be contributing to the Edison Awards AI/HI Youth Challenge for our Lee County High School students. We're hoping 500 students will participate, tons of high schools, and we're presently looking for scholarship funding for those students. And we're continuing to do work on the AI/HI Innovation Hub for Lee County. That's progressing well. So if you're not already an investor, now's the time to invest. We've got levels from $1,000 to $50,000. And who do you see if you need to invest? Bill Johnson! All right, there you go. All right. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. I think the last meeting we had a discussion on, I had worn flat shoes, and today I do have heels, so I am able to see a little bit, so certainly in line. But our next person up, Commissioner Hammond, does not have that problem.
Thank you, Helen.
Hey, good morning. Well, yeah, it is nice to see all of you. No, I'm kidding. Well, listen, it is a privilege to be here with you this morning, and I know some of the topics we're going to talk about this morning deal with resiliency and disaster response, and I wanted to kind of lead off with something that you may not have seen. Some of you have been there, but it's Lee County's new Public Safety Center. So this is something that we used to call the Emergency Operations Center. We're now calling it the full-on Public Safety Center, and it's because we have now expanded it to 37,000 square feet. So since Hurricane Ian, your Board of County Commissioners has decided, look, we want to be the absolute standard for communication and coordination when a disaster comes. And so we invested $38.5 million of basically COVID relief money and state legislature granted money to build this new Public Safety Center complex. And it's an expansion of what was the Emergency Operations Center. But for the first time, under one roof, we're going to have our Public Safety Administration, our EMS, our 911 dispatch, our Lee County Sheriff's Office Communications Center, and our Department of Transportation Traffic Operations Center. So if you can picture a big room where they're going to take all the 911 calls, you've got people at their work centers who are right across the room from people who are in the Department of Transportation who are monitoring all of the intersections, all of the major intersections in Lee County. So they can see the accidents real time, they can see how things are unfolding on the ground, and they can coordinate response efforts to day-to-day emergencies very quickly and efficiently. And then when you think about when a hurricane hits, and we've got to have all hands on deck, you could have up to 200 or 300 people in this building. This building has all the facilities and all the modern amenities that you would need to basically house that many people during an emergency period. You know, in the old days, which was really just about 3 years ago, after Hurricane Ian, we had 200 people spending the night for maybe about 14 days, it seemed like, in this Emergency Operations Center, and there was one shower for the men and one shower for the women, and that was it. And so now we have full-on facilities and amenities to handle everybody, because, look, when a hurricane hits, our county employees do something amazing. It's their duty, but they do it, and they do it with grace and dignity and wonderfully. But they put their needs and their families aside, and they go to the Emergency Operations Center, and they do what it takes to get the county back on its feet. And so it's amazing, and we want them to be able to do it even better than they have in the past. And so that's something. It's off of Ortez. If you get a chance to drive Ortez in between MLK and Colonial, you'll see the new big expanded building there. And just know that if, unfortunately, we see another storm, we'll be ready for you. Thank you, guys.
All right. We're going to move over to Mr. Talmadge, but before we do, I got an important message that was sent, and it's a reminder that the mid-year update on September 4th at the Twin Stadium, invitations have gone out, and we've not received a lot of RSVPs. Amanda will be resending those invites out, so please make sure that you are RSVPing so we can plan accordingly. Mr. Talmadge.
I'd like to concede my time to the panel, but I just want to say the panel this morning is exceptional. You'll find it interesting. And please listen to our not-for-profit minute because the Boys and Girls Club has been reinvigorated and new facilities and is wonderful.
Awesome. Very good. Well, I will do light introductions. The bios are in your packet to conserve some time. So I would like to have Denise go ahead and come up. She's the Chief Executive Officer of the Boys and Girls Club of Lee County, and she's a visionary leader, and she's going to walk us through what's going on at the Boys and Girls Club. Awesome. Nancy's coming back. All right. Well, thank you so much for having me today. How many of you out there know what the Boys and Girls Club does? Just quick show of hands. Well, that's awesome. Okay. Well, I'm excited to share with you a lot of updates that are going on in our organization as we get this slide ready. The Boys and Girls Club, our mission is to enable all young people, especially those who need us most, to reach their full potential as productive and caring citizens. As an outcome-driven organization, we are focused on 3 priority outcomes for our youth and teens, and that is achieving academic success, demonstrating good character and citizenship, and living a healthy lifestyle. Now, we have 8 locations throughout Lee County. We are in Cape Coral, North Fort Myers, Lehigh, and Bonita Springs, so we are definitely covering a big county. We actually operate in 4 school locations, so we have an amazing partnership, and Dr. Carlin's here. They are amazing partners to us. And then we have 4 Boys and Girls Club locations. One, which is really exciting, that I'm going to update you about today, which is becoming our new flagship location. Last year we served about 1,350 students and growing. Every year we continue to grow. During the summer, we're always on a wait list, so looking for expansion opportunities there. When we think about what we do with our kids, we focus on 5 key areas, and those are education and workforce development, the arts, health and wellness, sports and recreation, and service and leadership. Now, most of the families that we're serving are low-income families, about 75%, and although we only charge a nominal fee, we end up scholarshiping about 40% of our kids because we want to make sure that they have access to high-quality programs regardless of their financial situation. So last year we provided over $230,000 worth of scholarships to families in our community. Now, kids are always hungry, right, Denise? Every minute of every day. We serve over 70,000 meals and snacks to our kids, making sure that their basic needs are met. Academics, super important, so we understand where they are academically. 99% of our students achieved a 2.0 or higher, and 75% achieved a 3.0 or higher, so something really important to us. As we're protecting our youth and coming alongside, we also want to support our families. So we do a lot of different outreach events. I lost my slides, but I'll still keep talking. So we do a lot of outreach events in the community. So we do a backpack drive every year to make sure that our kids are ready to go back to school with the right supplies. We do a toy drive so that our families can have a really happy holiday season. And we actually have local businesses that adopt our clubs, and they come in and throw the kids a giant party. They have so much fun, and our business partners who do it with us absolutely love it every single year. We have our technical difficulties.
Yeah, there's a few technical difficulties that started happening.
All right. Okay. Well, we'll move on then. So this year we actually are celebrating our 50-year, you got it? Our 50-year anniversary. And we will be hosting an event on November 8th at our club. And we really want to highlight our new flagship club. The kids are going to be there. They're going to be giving tours of the facility, talking about what they do in the clubs. But I want to kind of start back, like, how did we get
get here. In 2022, we invested in a new property, a 15,000 square foot facility on 2 acres of land centrally located in Fort Myers on Park Meadows Drive. And our vision for this was always to become the flagship location for Lee County, because we really were quite quiet for some years. Yeah, you're not. Well, all right, so I had good visuals, but we'll keep going. So in this facility, we kind of have 2 different phases to our construction project. And phase 1 was the building was a big open shell. And that's great, but you need places to tuck kids away because too much together time is too much together time. So we created program spaces for our kids. So things like a game room, a culinary kitchen, which is going to be built out. All right. Culinary kitchen, which is going to be built out, a tech lab, a STEM room, a homework center. I'm going to keep going. A homework center. So, then we have an art room, a health and wellness room. So our programs are really all focused on high-yield learning activities that are project-based activities. So the great thing about that is the kids are using skills. They're using math skills, reading skills, critical thinking, but they're having fun because they're engaged in an activity. And they have been in school all day, so we need to make sure that they are highly engaged and having a good time. But that's what the building is all about. So we started the construction project in December of 24, and like all good construction projects, I know none of you have ever experienced this, but it ran a little late. So we were pushing it to open for summer of 2025, but we got it done, and we had 200 kids registered at this facility and had 140 kids showing up every single day, which was absolutely amazing. So phase 2 of the project, on kind of the left-hand side of the slide, is actually we're building an additional 2,600 square feet to become our teen center. And so as an organization, we are focused on increasing our teen enrollment because we believe that our teens need extra support to come alongside the schools, come alongside the families, and help them with college and career exploration. We also know that teens want their own space. While they do like to mentor the younger kids, they don't necessarily want to hang out with them all day. So by creating their own space, we can pour into them and make sure that they stay on track. Now, as our kids age and they get older, there are risky behaviors and influences out there, so we really do work with them on that. So we make sure that we're doing prevention on drugs and alcohol, opioid awareness, anti-bullying, internet safety, coming soon AI safety, because that is the world we live in, right? Exciting but scary all at the same time. But we want to pour into our kids and make sure that they have a plan for the future. So I'm going to go back, hopefully. Can I go back? You would think. You can go back one slide for me. There you go. This is the overview of what the campus will look like at the end of the day. So again, phase 2 brings in the teen center, but it's also going to be building out our sports field. The elementary school playground has been installed, and I will tell you they used it this summer and loved every minute of it. And then we're going to be adding on a basketball pavilion as well. And so for the Boys and Girls Club, we want to be a resource for the community, for our families, for the kids. And we want this club to be kind of a hub. So if the kids are there, how do we bring additional resources to the families? So whether that's partnering with other nonprofits, bringing in the United Way, Valerie's House, Community Cooperative, making sure that we're bringing the resources to our families. But what we also want to do is bring the business community to our kids. And that's what it's all about, is connecting them with all of you, because they are your future workforce. They're your future doctors, lawyers, plumbers, electricians, teachers. The sky's the limit for our kids, and they truly can be anything that they want to be, as long as we give them the tools and the resources in order to get there. So when we build out this teen center, we want to partner with you business owners and have you come in and talk to our kids about your profession, about the career path, the things that they need to do if they're interested in your local business. We want to connect connect them with internships and scholarships. And it doesn't matter whether they're going on to college, going to the trade school, a certification, or just entering the workforce. We want to make sure that we're building their soft skills, their leadership skills, so they are truly workforce ready. So this project has been a labor of love of mine for the last 3 years. I would love any of you who want to have a tour and come check out the facility. I'm super proud of it. The kids absolutely love it. It's gorgeous. I don't have pictures yet because, like I said, as all good construction projects, we were down to the wire and we had kids showing up at our door. But at the end of the day, we have some amazing business partners already who have invested in this project with us. We are 75% done on our capital campaign. It was a $4 million campaign. We've raised $3 million, so we're really proud of that. But we are looking for additional business partners who want to come alongside us and help us finish this project out in 2026. There are tons of other opportunities to get involved with our clubs and our kids, whether you want to volunteer, connect your business with our teams. I would love to meet any of you, and I'm always so proud of our kids. They really are amazing, and we just need to invest in them so that they have an amazing future. So I thank you for your time today. I'll be here afterwards. I've got brochures, business cards. If you want to learn more about what we do, I would love to speak with you after this. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for that. Great information, and I was going to ask you if you were going to be staying, and you answered that, so well done. All right, so we're going to go ahead and move to our presentation on innovative resilience resources with local connections. And for time savings, I'm just going to make introductions. And Neil Cowan, he's head of marketing and design for E2 Companies. Next is Nathalie White with Schenkel Shultz, and Jaime Zabala with Advanced Hurricane Technology. And we will go ahead and start. I did have a brief conversation, so they have a presentation that they're going to go through, and then we'll have some open discussion and then questions. We will do kind of format-wise what we normally do, because you guys are going to have a lot of questions, I know. So we're going to run over time, and I'm going to have to call it, and then they're going to stick around to answer any questions. So just kind of setting the stage, all right? Thank you.
That's not me. Oops. She told me how to do it. I think this is good. Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for having us. I'm super excited to talk about today's topic. My name is Nathalie White. I'm the principal at Schenkel Shultz. I lead our Southwest Florida Regional Office. And today we were asked to talk about resiliency. And our title is Necessity is the Mother of Invention. I am an architect, but I also wear another hat. After Hurricane Ian, we had opened we relocated our office. We've been in Schenkel Shultz in the region for 30 years. We relocated to Estero and had our grand opening, and then Hurricane Ian hit. And I just wondered, we just opened an office, the entire town is devastated. And so I surprisingly just gathered a couple of people to start a grassroots movement that was only to help 20 people, but we ended up cleaning over 800 homes and had thousands of volunteers. It was called Rebuild Southwest Florida, and it was started through Instagram. So it was a complete shocker. It just blew up. There were so many people that wanted to help. And so as an architect, we're very familiar with the codes, but as a citizen and a person who lives in the region, seeing the devastation really gives you another perspective. We build buildings that meet the code, but there's just a lot of things that you see. You don't realize the buildings that don't have that level of code, the impact that they can have in the region. So I represent, as a designer, I take a lot of innovation ideas to create new buildings and designs, while we have panelists that are creating actual products and designs that are implemented in these. So we're going to go through our pieces of what our companies do, and then we'll have a discussion. So at Schenkel Shultz, like I said, our vision is to inspire our community through impactful design. We are a multidisciplinary studio of storytellers, and we take pride in our design. We're a mix of architects, interior designers, graphic designers, sustainability, construction administration, and so we are a full studio. Our headquarters in Orlando, we're 60-plus firm, in, like I said, 33 years in Southwest Florida. So one of the topics that I wanted to talk about, after taking my Rebuild Southwest Florida hat off, an RFP came out for the rebuild of Sanibel Fire Station 171, and so I want to use that as our case study to talk about some of the work that we're doing there. Sanibel, as you know, the bridge collapse made it very difficult for the fire department to rescue 1,000 people on the island after Hurricane Ian. Not only that, their buildings were down, and so they were impacted heavily. And this is Station 2, that's over by Bowman Beach. And so these are just some of the images right after Hurricane Ian. You can see the image on the left is a demo of the existing building. They weren't able to keep it, and so we demolished that building, and they had to set up a temporary fire station in a trailer, which they've been since Hurricane Ian on the side. And so we've had to rebuild, working with Manhattan as a construction team. We're rebuilding the new station while they're maintaining operations on that trailer. So it's been quite a challenge, very tight site, and this is the new design for our Station 2. After Hurricane Ian, the fire station developed a logo called Bruised But Not Broken on the side, and we were really inspired by their story. They had a brand new fire chief, rescued 1,000 people, and it's a really, if you don't know about that story, you should read about it, but so this is a new station design. We wanted to create something that was hardening, obviously, as a central facility, but something that still met the charm of Sanibel. And so we're putting back the pieces is really what our story is, and using the beacon of hope, the lighthouse that was standing after Hurricane Ian, as our inspiration. And so we really feel like the fire department and the public safety officers were the beacon of hope for Sanibel. And so we use that lighthouse theme throughout. One of the key features is that the stair tower is wrapped with seashells. It's tabby construction, which makes it gets harder over time. And so just, again, creating that story while still creating a safe facility. So one of the things and the challenges that we had and that the barrier islands have is that we need FEMA flood maps, obviously require all of your ground floor level elevations to be elevated to their new flood levels. And so for this particular site, it's 13 feet is the base flood design level. And Sanibel has a height restriction of 45 feet. So it makes it very difficult to get everything in there, while the chief really wants a 15-foot high ceiling apparatus and another living quarter, and then adding a hip roof. So as you can see, this diagram just kind of shows the challenges of just trying to make it all work with all the zoning, as well as making it work for the apparatus level. And so we really had to coordinate a lot of our structure with our mechanical and making sure everything was fitting in those requirements. Again, while thinking about the flow, because for us every second saves lives, so reducing steps. So one of the topics that we wanted to talk about was just obviously with hurricanes there's a lot of wind, but in this case it was a lot of water, and so this particular site saw 5 feet of water, and because of the apparatus level needing to be at the existing level in order for the trucks to come in and out, we had to keep that ground level for the trucks at that below the flood base, which means water will be coming in, and so we need to plan for that. And so as you can see in this diagram, there's that blue line where the water will be coming in, and so when we think about that, that's called wet proofing. So we know that the water is going to come in and it's going to be able to come out. And then there's dry proofing, where you don't allow the water to come in, and you really have to consider the hydrostatic pressures of your structure. So this diagram just shows some of the locations where we were considering where the water would come in. And so there's this technology called smart vents, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. They allow the water to come in. It's an engineered product. But ultimately, we needed to make sure that the finishes and everything was ready to go. So if the next hurricane hits, they get flooded, they're able to just scrape off the water and scrape off the mud and get back to work. The ground level is not required to meet any flood. If you're above the level above your flood level, you're not required to do anything beyond finishes and stuff. But in this particular case, we wanted to just make sure if it ever happened, that ground level was ready to go as well. And so it's all CMU and finished with epoxy so that, again, they could just clean and go and were able to move back in. This is just a quick diagram of what of these engineered flood vents. So when it's a commercial building, FEMA will allow you to have wet proofing. There are products out in the market, and some of the topics that we're going to talk about that are not engineered, and so a lot of people have been using products that don't really meet this code. So it really need to be careful about that. And then resiliency finishes. So again, this is just an image of our apparatus showing all of the epoxy. We are making sure that everything is watertight. We didn't put any electrical or plumbing that was required. The only plumbing that we needed to meet was our emergency shower. And so really just considering every aspect of it, from electrical to plumbing to just thinking about the steps after what they're going to need. So you can see, again, trying to keep that charm, but still very resilient and hardened. And just wanted to share our construction progress to date. We're excited to hopefully be complete before the anniversary of Hurricane Ian. So that's a big deal for the island to have that. And so I want to bring up Neil. Oh, sorry, actually, no, he's going to talk a little bit about his.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jaime Zabala Jr. I'm the president of Advanced Hurricane Technology. My family's been making hurricane protection in Southwest Florida for the last 32 years. We're the silent industry leaders, and by silent industry leaders, I meant nobody knew us until about 2 or 3 years ago, because we were primarily B2B. That continues to be what we do today, but now we actually put out commercials. So some of you may have seen me on TV at some point, but now we're also participating with things like Grow Florida and the Horizon Foundation as far as the award presentation. So we're trying to get our name out there so that more and more people can hear our stories and get ideas about what our products do. But the thing that we focus on the most is protection, safety. So you're not going to hear me talk about any time that you hear me talk, you're not going to hear me talk about price, you're not going to hear me talk about looks, you're not going to hear me talk about aesthetics. It's always about protection and designing and manufacturing the best protection that can help your family survive storms. During this presentation, I'm going to talk a little bit about manufacturing, a little bit about accessibility, and a little bit about the code. So these are our products. These are the traditional products that you see out there. Aluminum roll-downs, hurricane screens, accordions. Hurricane screens have their origins right here in Southwest Florida. You may not know this, but the roll-downs and the way that they're actually adopted and are spread throughout the world are actually an innovation of my father right here in Southwest Florida. He's the original patent holder on the end retention system. I have links on some of these things to the engineering, but we don't have time to go through any of that stuff. But really, we have a very interesting and robust R&D department in Southwest Florida as a whole. Not just my company, not just StormSmart, not just the other ones. Because we have such a strong market, the title of the presentation was it Necessity is the Mother of Invention? We have the necessity here because of the storms. We have the necessity here because of the devastation that we've seen, but more importantly, we also have people that want to be here and want to live here, and that brings a market that allows us to spend the funds to develop new things. It's an interesting kind of thing. You don't see as much of this in Puerto Rico, where we have an office, or in the Tampa area. You don't get a lot of innovation and invention there. You get it right here in Southwest Florida. But we don't manufacture a lot here. That's why organizations like the SRMA are really important to bring more manufacturers here so that we don't just have 60 installation companies as we do between Marco Island and Sarasota, while only having 3 or 4 actual manufacturing companies. We need to have more of that here so that we can build those products and have those jobs here. I'm going to do something right now as a contractor that you guys are going to be very surprised at. I'm going to say a lot of good things about permitting and code and inspections. So one of the reasons why you'll get a hurricane like Hurricane Maria goes to Puerto Rico, and you get 4,500 dead, but you get a just as powerful a hurricane hitting Southwest Florida, and you get a tiny fraction of that, is because we have a healthy and robust inspection and permitting department. We do things here that they don't do anywhere else. We do business in Louisiana and Texas and Virginia and South Carolina and North Carolina. We've got dealers throughout the entire United States. And everywhere we tell them there's going to be an update to the code, there's going to be an update to our engineering, and they say, no, I don't really care. Because they don't have to go through the same stringent kind of processes that we do. They don't have that same level of code that we have to uphold. But that makes us stronger. It makes us stronger as a community, and it makes us stronger because we don't have to rebuild like everybody else does. It seems like devastation, but if you go to the places where you really get devastation, it's eye-opening and terrifying. The other thing is that we have excellent, strong construction and retrofit projects. We have so many companies here that are actually actively working on building and rebuilding Southwest Florida that it's able to help us move forward. But what's keeping us back? The things that are keeping us back are non-approved products. The same thing that kind of helps us not have to rebuild so much because we've got such good products that are out there is what keeps us from innovating and moving forward. It's regulatory capture, if anybody's heard of that phrase. It's so expensive to develop new kinds of hurricane protection because you have to go to code. You need independent licensed engineers to help you design that stuff. You need to go to an independent lab. You have to have independent validation. It goes to the state. I've spent already $150,000 before I've sold a single product, and what if nobody wants to buy it? It's actually happened to us a couple of times. So that's one of the issues that we have where HOAs, municipalities, they're starting to have these things available now that they call these affidavits or waivers that allow you to install things that haven't yet been tested and approved. But for the most part, it's impossible to do real-life testing of these things. You have to go to all of these labs, and we have the advantage that we can go to other places where they don't require such stringent codes. But that's not happening anymore in Southwest Florida. HOAs are also a major problem because we have these aesthetic codes. It's not about how great the protection is. It's about how great it looks on the condo or on the apartment or on your home. And if it's not the right color, you can't install it. And if it's too noisy, you can't install it. And if you're going for the summer up north, you can't leave it down. These things are impacting the way that we can design hurricane protection and what we can sell and where we can sell it. And then the things that we always have is unlicensed activity. Unlicensed activity continues to be a major problem. It's really bad in the roofing industry. It's just as bad in the hurricane protection industry. It happens with every storm. You get a bunch of people coming into town and basically saying, I can do that for you. The licensed companies are a couple months out. I can do it for you today. And people jump on it. So it's difficult, but I think that if we band together as a community, these are things that we can continue to address, but it needs to be a priority. Aesthetics can't be number one. Safety needs to be number one. The things that are really hard to address are our own decisions. Sometimes we're our own worst enemy about the products that we choose. Right now, yesterday we had a meeting with StormSmart, and I said something that kind of connected with them, and said the number of times that you get a salesperson going out to a home and the homeowner says, I don't care, how big the box is or whatever, I just want a really nice, tight-looking screen. Like, that's the thing we care about right now is we care about, are the bugs going to be kept out? Is it going to look really nice and tight when it's down there? It's not about whether or not it's going to protect my family or we're going to get, great impact protection. these are the short-term memory things that start to happen only a few years after a major storm. And we see it everywhere. It's not just my industry, it's in everything. We also keep choosing to build in places that maybe we ought not to be building because it's such valuable real estate. The damage that you see in places that were protected by mangroves and by the natural infrastructure of Mother Nature is completely different to where we built right up to the coast and there's no room for natural erosion. The socioeconomic disparities. This is the single biggest issue that I'm seeing right now. Every new hurricane protection product, flood product, all these things that are coming out are being targeted to the wealthy, upper middle class. You want to protect your beachfront home. Well, what about the people in Lehigh Acres that are putting plywood on their homes? What new technology is being developed for them? It's not a lucrative business model to be developing things for people that are actually important in the service industry. And it's simply not being addressed. And that's something that's not going to happen independently from most manufacturers or builders, because that's not how they're going to make their money. We've got a new product. We've got something that we're working on that I'm going to talk a little bit about at the end. But we're trying to address that because the last hurricane that hit us that really affected my family was Hurricane Ian. It affected my business not only in that, it closed us for a couple of days because of power outages and everything, but I had employees that lost their homes because they can't afford the products that they're building. So we decided to make a change. And then the one thing that we really don't want to talk about in this current climate right now, NASA's not allowed to study it anymore, is climate change. We are seeing more intense storms. We are seeing more water in our storms. These shouldn't be surprises to us. They're not suddenly inventing new hurricanes. These are things that are happening that we can study, that we can get a good understanding. There doesn't seem to be a strong political understanding and appetite to look into this right now, but it's something that I do hope starts trending back in that direction. I spent a decade working for NASA, and I worked on a lot of Earth-observing missions. I worked on the ISAT missions. This stuff is real, and this stuff is affecting us every single day. So now, you'll never see another contractor up here saying a lot of good things about permitting, approval, and inspections. I am so happy that we do this because it does do a lot to keep those unlicensed people out. I wish sometimes that it was stronger. I wish sometimes that it was weaker. I wish sometimes that we would be a little bit more ahead of the actual need and not so reactive to what's happening. But really, the lab approvals, the engineering, the Florida building code that gets strengthened after Andrew and after Ian, the new hurricane code that's coming out is going to be even stronger. But we're still leaving some things behind. Flood protection, dry flood proofing, not the wet flood proofing, is right now in everybody's minds. We're talking about the newest flood panels. Everybody's asking me for this. What can we do to protect our home from floods? Can you do something? How well does it work? Can you cover up all of my windows? It's because we simply don't yet have the infrastructure in place for permitting, for inspections, and for general knowledge. If you have a home that was built in the 70s, and I protect your home up to the top of every window, and we get a bad flood, your home's going to implode. These are things that aren't being said out there. Hydrostatic pressures are a real thing. These homes weren't built to withstand these kinds of pressures that are going to be putting on these. We sell a product called the Dam Easy, and it's 28 inches tall. Right? And people say, no, I'm going to need this 2-3 times higher. I said, if you've seen what happens to a home after only 28 inches of water builds up around it, you'll get the foundation crack sometimes if it wasn't built strong enough. You might get walls collapsing. Right? You don't want to go stronger. This all depends on how your home is built, how well it's been maintained, what the conditions are around it, things that you might not even be able to see. So we're still very early on in this thing, and we need to develop and we need to keep moving forward. I talked a little bit about product development. These are some of the new things that we've got. Actually, 2 of these are patents that I'm pursuing right now, so I'm really proud of them. One is the Dual Shield. This is kind of best of both worlds kind of thing. We're pursuing a patent right now in product approval. That is the idea that when you go to testing and when you get impacts on your home, the single most devastating portions are the corner impacts. So I realized why not, instead of having screen there, which is very hard to pass, that's why sometimes you'll see hurricane screens have gussets on the corners or bottom braces. We just have a shutter there. It's an idea. We invented a bulletproof shutter. bulletproof shutter there, you can see it works. It does amazing things. The only problem is it costs about 5 times more and nobody wants to buy it. It's a ton of aluminum. And then the last one is the emergency screen. This is the thing that I'm the most proud of, and it's going to be coming to a market near you hopefully soon. This is a product that is supposed to replace plywood. That one that you see right there is for a traditional window that is 36 by 72. It costs $90. It's a DIY product. You're expected to put it up yourself. We have video instructions and a bunch of different stuff. It's reusable up to 10 years. It's the first product that I've seen on the market that I worked on myself that is targeted specifically to people that would put plywood on their windows, the people that I feel have been left behind. I'm hoping that this product can take off. We need to scale up in our production. Depending on how this takes off, I'd like to really push this product and help as many people as possible. But it's one of those things that we're not going to know until we get the approval. We're not going to know until I've already spent all this money and gotten the hardware and got all that stuff ready. Hopefully by that time I'll convince enough of you people that this is a worthwhile endeavor and that we're going to be able to help a lot of people. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Nathalie, Jaime. So I'm going to be relatively quick, but I wanted a quick thank you. My kids are just finishing up their second week of school, all 3 of them in the Lee County Public Schools. So thank you to our friends from Lee County Public Schools. It's been really smooth, the start of their school year. And then I have to credit our friend Jaime for this point that was raised yesterday. I do lead marketing for E2 companies, but I believe the best kind of marketing is knowledge and education. So really, I'm just going to focus on the quick pieces of the story that relate to that as it comes to our grid in our utility network, both nationally and also here in southwestern Florida. And my goal is to go pretty quick through this and save enough time for our panel discussion. So I'll click through it relatively quickly, but I will stay after and answer any questions. So a brief history here of our U.S. electric grid. This is a fun fact that really started in 1882. There was something called the Battle of the Current Wars between AC and DC, which is alternating current and direct current. And direct current was led by Thomas Edison. Namesake has roots here in southwestern Florida, at least in the winter. And unfortunately, Thomas Edison lost that battle to Westinghouse and Tesla. And the grid that we have today is mostly based on AC technology, which is long transmission lines, step-down stations to get to us, residential and commercial. And it's not either or with AC/DC. The best design for the grid is both. And we're working to get back to that right now, and E2 companies is part of that. So I call this Grid 1.0 the advent of the grid, and then 1977 started Grid 2.0, which was really putting a lot of regulations on the grid. The birth of renewable energy is not new. It's been around for 50 plus years now. Wind power, EVs. It's a surprising fact to many that it's been around for 40, 50 years. Grid 2.0 is great. It cleaned up the grid, especially relative to emissions, but it also put a lot of intermittency and transients on the grid, which is very hard to plan for if you're part of the public utility network. So really what you're seeing here is before and after, and the public utility grid is in the midst of disruption, big time. So this industry is based on this hub and spoke model on the left-hand side. It's served us very well for over 100 years. However, I would argue that there are some really big challenges to that old model. So what we do and what a lot of companies in the space of E2 companies do is really change the framework design of the grid to lower the risk and to really spread that out in a more decentralized, centralized fashion for local customers, because electricity generated close to the point of consumption is always going to be more reliable, and those electrons you can count on. And the Department of Energy federally just came out with a report that said by 2030, we're likely to have about 100 times more power outages than we have today. So that's only in about 5 years. So we're right on the precipice of more issues here nationally, but also locally. That's our goal, and really the most important goal of that is to generate electricity close to the source, because if we're not careful, we're also going to price a lot of customers and consumers out of electricity. So it's about equity, energy equity, because rates are going up across the country. PJM, ERCOT, a lot of the grid regions are having trouble keeping their rates down for the end-use customer. And that all travels to us as a homeowner in Gateway. I'm told to pay a utility bill every month. I don't really have a choice for what I pay. It's given to me, and I pay it from FPL. But we want to create more choice in the marketplace. And really quickly, the model is putting an on-site utility system basically on the facility behind the meter that brings the power of choice, brings the power of choice between inputs. We're input agnostic to what creates the power, and we can work with public utility, of course, but the redundancy of the system, you can also pull from natural gas. We have friend Joseph from TECO, Tampa Electric, in the crowd. I don't know how many people know, but natural gas, far and away, is the most efficient and reliable input for any system. Nothing comes close to it. And we're lucky to have a really good network of natural gas here in southwestern Florida. So, but it's not limited to natural gas. Renewables can connect to the system, and basically that provides a lot of resiliency, a lot of reliability, because it's an automatic, instantaneous switch between those inputs, and a lot of economy, because you can look at the rates for natural gas, compare them to electricity rates, and that's a pretty good bet right now. So here's our system, just really quickly. It's a combination of power generation on the bottom and battery storage on the top, and it works in combination to provide instantaneous power transfer. When you need to come off the grid, you can come off the grid, or you can run it prime, meaning you never have to pay a utility bill again if you want to run it island mode. We also provide energy management services, which is this grid response optimization. This is like a hub for all operations for those switches of input and day-ahead pricing. It's like the stock market for energy. We're monitoring rates for all of our customers, and normally we can save them a lot of money with the freedom of that choice. And I'll never forget being in this network operations station the day before Ian came to Southwest Florida, watching it on that big screen when it took a right-hand turn over Cuba. I think we all remember that. I came in the morning, my CEO, and I said, let's give everybody the day off today, because that was relatively unexpected. A few of our coworkers stayed at E2 companies. Our chief safety officer took this picture the day of Hurricane Ian. Apparently that was okay. He's our chief safety officer out on the street. Yeah, we were one of the only facilities in Lee County and Collier County to maintain power, because it's always been the first installation for the READY system. And then we serve customers in large-scale manufacturing. This is a large-scale manufacturing customer up in Wapakoneta, Ohio. And this was one of our first multi-in-parallel READY systems, 4 megawatts of battery storage and 3 megawatts of power gen. And then also for hurricanes, we can install, it doesn't have to be ground level. So really important, we sometimes have to fortify rooftops, terraces, to make sure it's a lot of weight on the architecture and the design. But this is on a 5th floor terrace in downtown Buffalo, and this is for Erie County Public Works. We can also put these systems on platforms to raise them up, to get them above that storm surge level. And it starts with culture. Any company in this space, Jaime raised this, Nathalie raised this, it's always important to ask about certifications. For us, the safety certification is UL, both 9540, for commercial and industrial, and 1778 for mission critical. So that is the safety standard for all things electric, and that basically is the starting point to make sure you're installing something that is fully certified. But there's a lot of ISO standards behind that. And really for us, this is employee training. We have a very robust employee training program with all these certifications. And so it's embedded in the culture, and safety is always going to be our number one priority when you're creating 1 megawatt systems of electricity. And then to just touch upon this point, important to ask where products are sourced, increasingly so from a security standpoint, but also from a quality standpoint. 19 out of 20 key components in the READY system are made in North America, most of those in the U.S. The only one that's not is our battery cells, but we are working on that right now, so we can go 100% sourced in North America. So that's just it. We're located in Bonita Springs, Florida. Welcome anyone in the audience to come visit us for a full demonstration of the system, and we'd love to help. We kind of skipped our own backyard here in Southwest Florida. We're working more nationally and internationally, but we're circling back to make sure we do our part for hurricane resiliency and severe weather. So thank you.
All right. Very good. As I had kind of led into, we are running over, but I do want to open up the floor. We're going to take 2 questions for the panel. I'm going to close the meeting out, but please, they're going to stick around if you have additional questions. And for those of you who want to hear, we'll keep the mics on, but I do want to be sensitive to everybody's time. Gary.
Okay, so hopefully quickly, those of us that have built a home more recently in the last 20 years have had to put in venting systems for flooding, usually 8 to 12 inches above ground level. Now since Ian, the last 3 years, thousands of Southwest Florida homeowners are putting in damming systems into homes that don't have vents, I think as much as 32 or 36 inches high. And they're not permitting them. So I'm just curious, is this something that's going to create a public safety threat? Are people unknowingly putting their homes at risk because companies are marketing these systems? Or is it really unnecessary to have the damming? Is that just theory and not reality?
Yeah, there you go. So I think this is a 2-part answer, and the first part of this is that no, it's very real. This is a very real concern, and it's a very real concern not just for the companies that are trying to act as good standing members of the community, and also for the different municipalities. I know Collier County is already mandating a waiver and affidavit to be signed by the homeowner that says if they have certain products installed, that they will not stay in the home, and that they acknowledge that these are the risks. That's been going on for about 2 to 3 months, and so at least somebody's starting to pick up on it. I know Lee County is having people like myself and StormSmart and other companies that are in the flood space advise on what are the concerns, what are the risks. We just had a discussion last night where this was brought up. I mean, this is kind of entering that world. But I'll repeat something I said in the presentation. They didn't invent a new hurricane. The last 3 hurricanes have been water events, and the previous 5 weren't. So it just happened to be that we had the circumstances, the right conditions to have these be major water events. And it's not guaranteed that the next one is going to be that way or the next 5 will be that way. At some point we will have that again. So what I'm actually urging is to not overreact, to not build a code that's too stringent or too reactionary to what we've seen happen here in the last ones. We certainly need to learn our lessons, but we need to put together a code and permitting structure and inspection structure that makes sense. And if we go too much the other way, then I fear we're going to leave people unprotected. If we're too lax, which is what's happening right now, we're going to endanger people because they're going to be getting their education from marketing materials and protecting their homes with things that ultimately aren't going to help them. So yeah, I think that there's a very real concern, and we need to be careful about what we're buying. I think I'm selling a product that is goes up to 28 inches high. It's called the Damn Easy, and There are cases where we'll walk away because it's not appropriate for this customer to have it. I know somebody else is going to come in and they're going to do it. They're going to dam up the garage, and this is an old home that's made of wood, and it's not safe. So it's a difficult time right now in the market, and I think we're going to find our way through it. Hopefully there's not going to be a lot of fallout from this.
Yeah, I guess I just want to pick up on the natural gas piece that you mentioned. I remember I used to go run refineries and chemical plants. Back in the early 70s, you were selling 1 million BTUs of natural gas or 1,000 standing cubic feet for $1. If you look today, the market right now is a little bit under $3 for natural gas. And due to net present value, it takes it back to about 20 cents equivalent in 1970. From a policy standpoint, we as policymakers, to influence the industry and the United States overall in the density of energy production products, the more bang for the buck is really in natural gas. How do you see that evolving, and what kind of things can we do from a policy standpoint at our level to be able to influence that, to make sure that the FPLs are doing that next incremental natural gas plant for a cycling plant? So, thank you.
Yeah, I would say take a long-term view always. The pendulum swings, whether they're every 4 years or 8 years in this country, are not helpful because we tend to go all the way to one side or the other. But the long-term strategy, natural gas has always been there and will always be there. And I do have to say, like, first and foremost, we partner with TECO and People's Gas. They're one of our best business partners, because of the quality of the network that we're lucky to have. There's development projects that can be run in many cases, not in all cases, but they step up to the plate every single time and look at it with us. So I think where we're at right now, it's trending back towards the middle, but I hope it doesn't go past the middle because there's a healthy balance with renewables and natural gas. Again, it's not an either-or proposition, it's both. They're both good at very different things. And natural gas is going to be that backbone, that foundation for hurricane resiliency especially. You're not going to get the ride-through of 2-3 days from diesel because diesel requires storage on a property, and you're going to run out of diesel fuel in a lot of cases, and it's nowhere near as clean as natural gas. And then with renewables, it's going to be cloudy. So you can't count on Mother Nature because Mother Nature tends to be unpredictable for us. So it starts with a partnership with TECO. Again, Joseph is here. I don't know enough about natural gas, but I always lean on our partners to get us there. Yep.
All right, thank you. So I'm going to go ahead and, again, our panel's going to stay up here. I'm going to go ahead and take care of some housekeeping items. Do we have any voter input, anything that anybody wants to share? Okay, well, as always, we want to thank FSW for supplying this wonderful venue for us, and don't forget, Denise is also here, so if you have any questions about the Boys and Girls Club, please make sure that you see her. But we'll keep the panel, and I don't know, do you want to manage the mic? If you have any questions, you can go ahead and go on mic. They'll stay around for a little bit, but I am going to go ahead and adjourn us, okay? Thank you, guys. Have a great weekend.
Yes. I took a lot of the material for the Ultra because we have a lot of the workforce that doesn't have that certification. That was great to see you guys.
Yeah. But I do know, it's making choices on building out once the market is in, it's not just you don't want to make that wrong decision. I'd love to show you one. We build prefabricated. We've always been electrical panels, VFDs, pump systems, part of the lifestyle. Now we're starting to I didn't have to do that myself. We can build them right there.